2, 1. We're live.
Welcome to our Toronto Seniors Housing Audit, Finance and Risk Committee meeting of October 16th. We are live streaming this meeting on YouTube. I would like to recognize that October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, Islamic Women's Month, Hispanic, Hungarian, Korean and Latin American Heritage Months, and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is also Cybersecurity Awareness Month, where we will speak more to cybersecurity training for board members at our October 30th, 2025 board meeting. We have a full agenda today, and I would like to pass it over to our board chair, Fareed Amin, to say a few words.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks, Chair. Also, thanks to all of you who are joining us online. Today is our AFRC meeting. Before we get going, I just want to take a few minutes to recognize that we are joined by Just. Just is our newest director of the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation, and on behalf of the entire board, I'd like to say, Just, welcome. We look forward to your engagement. I know you're a long-standing and very active member of the Tenants Committee, and so we do appreciate you joining the board, and we look forward to benefiting from your experience and your engagement. We'll have a more formal opportunity to welcome you and Costa to our board meeting in a few weeks, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for putting your hand up, and thank you for joining us as a member. And we look forward to your continued experience and engagement. And I'm sure that the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation will benefit from your experience and will be a better institution as a result of your engagement. I don't know if Costa is here with us, but I'd also like to extend the same warm welcome to Costa. I don't see him, but hopefully I'll have an opportunity to formally welcome him to one of our future meetings. I also want to say thanks to Warren. Warren has been a long-standing member of the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation. I think he is one of the founding members of the board of directors. So I want to thank Warren for his engagement and his public service. Warren has been very instrumental in my transition in getting accustomed to the board of directors, and I want to thank Warren for his engagement. He's always been someone who we can rely on for his sage and wise counsel. We will miss him on the board, but I want to thank him for his public service, and I'm hoping that he will join us from time to time as a community member, and that we can still benefit from his experience and expertise as we move forward. So again, Just welcome. Costa, if you're with us, welcome. And Warren, it was a pleasure working with you, and thanks for your engagement and your indulgence. Mr. Chair, back to you.
Thank you, Fareed. I'll now begin our land and African ancestral acknowledgements. Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Toronto is home to a vast diversity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis who enrich this city. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by a Dish with One Spoon Wampum Treaty between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe nations, the Two-Row Wampum Treaty between the Haudenosaunee and the Dutch, as well as Treaty 13 and the Williams Treaties involving the Anishinaabe and the Crown. Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation is committed to reconciliation. We honor the land through our communities and programs that reflect and respect its heritage. Our land acknowledgement marks a small but key step in the process of reconciliation and building a positive relationship with Indigenous people. African ancestral acknowledgement. Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation acknowledges that racism and injustices faced by individuals who were brought to this land involuntarily, particularly those affected by the transatlantic slave trade. We acknowledge the experiences of Black peoples who arrived in Canada seeking a better life following the abolition of slavery by the British in 1834, while also recognizing the structural, systemic, and individual racism that they encountered, which continues to persist today. This racism culminated in the tragic destruction of Afriquelle, which was once the largest settlement of the Black community in Canada. Toronto Seniors Housing is committed to recognizing all forms of racism, especially anti-Black racism, and is actively working to combat these injustices. We will now proceed to item number 3, the approval of the public meeting agenda. Are there any additions or amendments? Hearing none, may I have a committee member move that the October 16, 2025 AFRC public meeting agenda be approved as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Brenda, seconded by myself. All in favor, be it resolved that the October 16, 2025 AFRC public meeting is approved as presented. We will now proceed to item number 4, conflict of interest. May I call for any declaration of conflict of interest? Hearing none, we will move on to item number 5, the approval of the AFRC public session minutes of September 3rd, 2025.
So moved.
Hearing none, moved by Brenda, seconded by myself. All in favor, approved. Item number 6, approval of the AFRC meeting's closed session minutes of September 3rd, 2025. Are there any amendments? Hearing none, may I have a mover? Moved by Brenda, seconded by me. All in favor? Carried. Item number 7, action item review. I'll pass it to Grant to speak to the action item within the Audit, Finance, and Risk Committee. Grant.
Thank you. So through the chair and to the committee, there is one action item on the action list that is from the June 4th, 2025 meeting. And that action item is to bring a cybersecurity update to the board. I can update the committee that recently there has been a new vice president of IT at TSHC brought on board, and cybersecurity services for TSHC are provided by TSHC. Tom and myself recently met with the new VP, Craig Batten, to discuss and start to bridge a new relationship with Craig and the TSHC IT team. And we introduced that we would like to have a cybersecurity update brought forward. And we will be coordinating this for an upcoming board meeting together with the TSHC IT team. We had started some coordination, however, with the change in onboarding of the new VP, this is going to take us just a little bit longer to get to to an upcoming meeting. We don't yet have a target date for this, but we'll be aiming for the next board meeting after October 30th at this particular point in time. And that's the update on this one.
Any questions for? Hearing none, we will move to item number 8, that is 2026 budget update. Over to you, Tom.
Great. Through the chair to the committee. And just before I start, just kind of echoing Fareed's comments. Jess, welcome to Toronto Seniors Housing Board. And I know from my time, whether it was at STAC or at the building 717, Jess is a very kind of strong advocate, very involved not only in the building, but in the surrounding community and other levels. So Jess, great to have you on board and the continued working relationship here. And at Costa, we did call him, but he wasn't able to make it today. And so we hope to see him at our board meeting later in October. And then I too just thanking Warren for his work, his contribution, and really kind of forging Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation with the other members of that earlier board. So just wanting to thank Warren as well. And we will be seeing more at the board meeting later this month. If we could just so the 2026 budget process, as you are well underway, and I would if we could just put up the presentation, I'll move through that for the committee this afternoon. Are we?
Yep, we're just getting it up right now. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. And Vince and I are going to kind of tag team on this one. I'll be providing just comments on the kind of the qualitative aspect of our budget and its submission in detail, and Vince will speak to the quantitative part, and this is the public aspect of this report. And we really did make an effort, as you can see, to bring forward as much as we could in the public realm. And so just I know we have 15 minutes for this item, so I think between Vince and I kind of move through this at a relatively good pace, so that if there are any questions, we can certainly answer them from the committee. Just in terms of this overview, it has been very kind of similar to other years' submissions, but I do just want to make the point here where we really do tie together that aspect of the deeply affordable housing and the housing and supports that are required to really to make that optimal and more achievable. And so within the housing and support area, just kind of emphasizing as an example around our complex tenancy team or our work with the Officer of Commission on Housing Equity, OACH. Next slide. And here, this once again, not unfamiliar to our committee and board, but I think if I had a kind of a point to make on this particular one, or else, as well, reflecting on our mandate and with the city, it is around something like language diversity. And that really is driving kind of quite a bit of focus and work when you see that 47% of our households preferred spoken language that is not English. And so a lot of work around this area of communication. We're starting to think more around like health literacy, right? If people don't understand, how can they get the healthcare? Digital literacy would be another one. And the use of interpreters, all of this, I think really it's quite unique to Toronto Seniors Housing and the diversity of our tenants. Next. And then the priority actions, once familiar to this committee, when you look at the priorities and the strategic directions, that identifies the first 6 bullet points, but just wanting to point to the last 2 on this page, where really our work, is the grounded in that integrated service model, and then just how do we continue to kind of evolve our work relative to that early integrated service model, which carries much of our work, and then just reminding the committee that our strategic directions will be under review in 2026, and you're aware we're already into that process. Next slide, and the next 2 slides, this is how well we are doing, and this we ground in our primarily in our tenant our satisfaction survey is one area that really helps to inform this area, and you'll see and these are areas that we report on regularly to the board that are reflected. So, for example, occupied units, rent and fees collected, you'll see those. And then for the balance of this particular spreadsheet, we will be waiting on the results of our tenant survey, which is taking, it would have been mailed out in this month, but once it is, then those 2025 projected are completed. Next. Just to head on to the next one. All right, and this as part of our budget information that goes to the city. You would have seen this in previous years, and this is something, once again, that we report at each one of our committee, QTech, or any of the 3 committees, and then subsequently at the board. So we have our occupancy rate and a rent collection rate. Both of these, we perform well over the year, and as we have said at other meetings, are below the comparators of other housing providers, and this is shared with the city. So these are kind of 2 key areas that they are interested in. Next slide. And then you'll see the next is the maintenance work orders, and then the stewardship around pest management. And just wanting to remind the committee that, you know, in November, we will bring forward that very more specific and detailed plan around pest management, and just wanting to highlight that for the committee today. And then with the last on how well we are doing, once again, familiar areas that we report on, but wanting to share with the city is the recurring programs for seniors and the supports with the building activities. And this is a particularly important slide because it and we'll talk more about this later, more specifically in the in-camera session. But this is the information that really helps to support our request for our deferred corporate positions and our new and enhanced positions. So this type of indicator and information, very important. And then we also just wanted to kind of reiterate with the committee, and this was brought up at our last the session of the board, just around more specificity around the city direction and the mayor's priorities. And, you know, just wanting to affirm with the committee that, you know, these areas of focus on service to our tenants, maintaining financial sustainability, finding efficiencies and savings were you know, clearly and thoroughly addressed by our staff and the sessions that we held. And then as we all know, the significant budget pressures that are being experienced. And then the next few slides just really outline more of the details around these priorities. The focus on our service and tenants. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there. These are kind of key areas of work and focus, and where we're reporting on our indicators around the maintaining the financial sustainability. This is where in the latter part of this year, a real focus on the MMP cost allocation work, which you'll see is informing our 2026 budget. And it does provide much more clarity, as you'll see, around the cost allocation. It will not solve everything in its entirety, and it will still, you know, be kind of an ongoing work in time, but it does provide a very good base for our now two organizations. And just around this kind of financial sustainability with our tenants, just the annual adjustment to CPP and other pensionable incomes and through subsidy provided to the City of Toronto does help with stability around our revenue. And then just a bit more detail, there's just a bit there on maintaining sustainability, where a very kind of forensic look at our operating expenses. And then just a bit more detail on the finding efficiencies and savings. So the city was requesting 75 million. The commitment from TCHC and TSHC, there you see it, there was roughly 4 million, of which our contribution was 400,000, and the balance was 3.9 was found through TCHC. Keep moving through, and I'm not going to. We actually did send this out to the board members. This was just the specific consultations that we did with tenants and staff, and some of kind of what we heard there. And then just moving on to the next slide, these just really kind of summarizing around our budget priorities, right? So is maintaining our service levels, and in fact with the a request for certain staff, where we would hope that you know, not only maintain, but it will help us to increase, let's say, program activity service offered to our tenants in the buildings, and certainly kind of aligning what we heard from tenants with our priorities as they are listed there. And we do, and it reflected the incorporating the changes in the collective bargaining, and inflation is reflected as well, and then the addition of new staff positions to support TSHC. These are both tenant facing and corporate. And with that, I will pass it over to Vince.
Great, thanks, Tom. And throughout the process as well, more recently, we've met up with the Housing Secretariat and also the City Planning Division as well. Through the budget, from the first budget submission on September 9th, we discussed essentially reviewing of the 2026 budget submission, along with discussed new and enhanced and also deferred corporate positions. Certainly, we did also discuss a bit more on the significant pressures and challenges facing the organization overall. We discussed a bit of the strategy in terms of how we manage and gap the shortfall deficit for 2026 budget, but also discussed in terms of having that conversations with MNP in terms of what that work will mean for the 2026 budget, which you will see a little bit further in the in-camera session. And of course, also just keeping consistency with updating consistency format with the key cost drivers as well. Key takeaways out of that conversation really resulted in really 3 areas. One, potential increase in the revenue, which we'll discuss a bit further, and along with new and enhanced positions will require further update and template to complete. That was the mandate coming back from both the city and also from the Housing Secretariat Group, City Planning Department, sorry. Next slide, with relating to the overall budget. So currently right now, as it stands, we are projecting about a $3.6 million surplus as of the end of 2025. The budget request, we're looking at approximately $1.8 million in terms of deficit for next year. And again, you can see there in terms of the approved positions, both budgeted and also budget for prior years, but also budget for 2026 as well. In here as well, on the right side is sort of the expected deficit positions over the next 2 years following 2026. So you'll see the 2027 and expected 2028 if no changes, significant changes on a subsidy component. So that is it on the presentation. We'll take any questions now if there's any questions.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Brenda.
Just a question of clarification. What is our relationship with the Housing Secretariat? Do we report to them? Is that the committee assigned by council or a department? Like, what's our relationship with them?
Yes, through the chair to the committee. So the Housing Secretariat, they oversee really the administration of all social rent geared to income across the entire city. And so we have a responsibility. So they, in terms of our subsidy allocation, right, and in terms of our performance as it relates to vacancy and arrears, that is something that they monitor very carefully. So they have the responsibility of things like the Rapid Rehousing Initiative, right? They work on that work with us. So I mean, they are responsible for the allocation of our subsidy, and they oversee, right, our tenancies with obviously with the tenants, right? So that through the Housing Services Act, they have that responsibility.
Okay, and so they're the ones who would recommend to council the final budget submission. They engage with us in developing the budget, and do they have some sort of approval process?
Through the board to the committee, so they don't have the approval. It's actually they help to inform our budget in those areas that I requested. But Vince's work is primarily with the finance division in terms of our budget, and then it is approved by council.
Okay.
And just to clarify, through the chair to the board member, committee member, with respect to the Housing Secretary Group, we consolidate that housing portfolio, including TSHC as well. So all of that rolls up under the Housing Secretary Group. Yeah.
Okay, and the rapid rehousing, I noticed it's 150 this year. So there's a cumulative total here, presumably. So how many have we to date settled with the rapid rehousing?
Brad, are you able to respond to that one?
Yeah, through the chair. I'm going to need about 10 minutes and I can get you that number, Brad.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So not to worry. I just thought it might be on the tip of your tongue. So I'm just trying to get a sense of the cumulative adding on every year total. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Lawrence, can you see Jess has his hand up?
Oh, sorry, I can't see him. Okay, just please go ahead.
Can't hear you.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
I've sent a request to unmute Jess.
Jess, we do have an in-camera part of the budget, so it could also, if we can't get you unmuted, we'll work on it. You can ask your question at that point.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah, we will now move to item number 9, August year-to-date 2025 financial results. Over to you, Vince.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the committee. August year-to-date 2025 financial result through August 31st of 2025, TSHC has incurred operating expenses of $33,119,885 on a total revenue of $37,333,970 for an excess of revenue over expenses of $42,115,555, which is including amortization expense. The excess of revenue over expenses included the below factors, including surplus from the TSHC on a net amount as of the end of June of $6.285 million. Also, some other key contributing factor relating to a little bit higher expenses in the salary benefits, which we'll discuss in terms of the additional vacation accrual, parental leave, WSIB, and a full complement of staff currently right now, and then also a very low vacancy rate and turnover rate as well. And then on top of it, there's also some small savings in the professional services, legal, and other areas. And again, these are a bit more of a time-related timing differences here. So some of these expenses will catch up by the end of the year. Attachment number 2 will show you the cash balance and other balance sheet accounts of TSHC's ledger. And currently right now, all of those are looking pretty decent. No issues with concern there. I will take any questions if there's any questions on this item.
No, I think it's pretty.
Mr. Chair, you're on mute.
Okay, since I don't see any hands up, we'll now go to item number 10, procurement change order, Vince.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through the chair and to the committee members. Number 10 is the procurement change order. It's for approval. And the requirement here is the approval of the change order for Hicks Morley, who is our legal services provider for collective bargaining, labor, and employment services to December 31st of 2025 in the amount of $100,000, subject to the procurement method delegations of authority that applies to all standard contract. The value that goes above and greater of $250,000 or 20% of the original commitment value, or to extend the term of the contract, would require the board committee and board to approve of such order there. I'll take any questions you might have now with respect to this particular change order.
Brenda?
In our proposal in the budget for the corporate positions, have we given up on hiring a lawyer in-house? Or will we continue to be using outside legal services?
Through the chair to the committee, Brenda, at this point in time, we actually still do have after our request this year for 4 deferred positions, we still potentially could have 4 other.
Yes.
So we still have room. I would say, though, at this point in time, for how we have been using legal services, it has served us well in the sense that, based whether it's HR or now it's with the agreement, we have been using different legal services, which so far I would say has worked for us. Because I do with other corporations who we work with, they have general counsel, but then they still hire specific legal counsel as it relates to other areas. So I do think this would be a further area for kind of really thoughtful consideration if we were to bring on somebody permanently based on how we use it on such kind of an ad hoc basis.
And perhaps
Not
not
ad hoc,
today.
but yeah.
And perhaps not today, but another point, could we have the total dollar amount that we have spent on legal
Absolutely.
services for the year? So we can get a
Yes.
sense of that compared to in-house,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. Thank you.
And through the chair to the committee, it would be important to associate that with specific activities. So in this year,
Yeah.
certainly with the cost allocation model and the agreement, our legal fees would be higher, but that would be we would do it both like identified by projects as well or work areas. Thanks.
Yeah, because we're not sharing legal services with Toronto Community Housing. This is our own budget.
Through the chair to the there is through the Grant may correct me on this, whether it's through the service delivery agreement or the transition agreement, there is certain areas where there is a contribution from TCHC's legal to our overhead costs.
So from TCHC to us.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. We need a motion to approve this item. Karen? Motion to approve and award the following change order in which the cumulative change order value exceeds 20% of the original commitment value of the contract to Hicks Morley, Hamilton Stewards, Story, legal services for collective bargaining, labor and employment matters to December 31, 2025 in the amount of 100,000 exclusive of taxes. I need someone to move. Brenda, will you move it?
Yes, so move.
Moved by Brenda and seconded by me. All in favor? Carried. We'll now go to item number.
Mr. Chair, just a point of order. I see Councillor Crisanti is also trying to get in from time to time, so you may want to check your screen regarding seconding of motions.
Since the thing is, I understand only the committee members can do that. So since Brenda, myself, and you are the committee members, that's the reason I did not go for that. Okay.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
we will now go
Well-
to item number. We'll now go to item number 11, insurance renewal. Vince?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the chair and to the board committee members. This item is for approval. It's a 2025-26 insurance renewal. The renewal of 2025-26 insurance, which came out to approximately negative 2.6% lower cost versus the 2024-25 renewal, including the directors and officers insurance. Without that coverage, the cost actually is a little bit lower at negative 8% in renewal. Really, the significant piece of here is really in 2025-26, the lower cost is due to lower claims and also more companies bidding in the bidding process for that. Thus, the premium has gone down by about approximately 2.6%. For TSHC. Overall, as an industry, there was an expected decrease as well. So it was overall good news. As you might have heard in the past, there's been some increases as well. So this would certainly offset some of that increases from prior year. We are still waiting for the excess crime and the second excess liability insurance. And that will come in the coming weeks. In the attachment, you will see two attachments. The first one is relating to the invoice on the core coverages, and then the second attachment is relating just a high-level overview. And on the far right, on the first page, you will see the new insurance on the directors and officers section that we've recently added. And then the second page of that just gives you an overview in terms of year-over-year change for our insurance renewal. I'll take any questions if there's anything at this point we relate to this item.
Vince, just a general question. Percentage of the total budget for insurance is what?
So our budget for 2026's budget is about 825,000 overall. Of course, there's also stuff like other expenses like in-house claims and also a contingency amount in there as well. But typically, it's about $800,000 in terms of the overall expenses that we typically budget year over year.
Okay, so my more general question is, in as much as the city is looking for cost efficiencies, would it be better for the city as a collective group get insurance for all divisions, including TSCH?
Through the chair into the committee, that is a good question, and certainly that has been raised in the past. Unfortunately, with the separate organization, each of the entities own, it is required to have separate insurance as well. Previously as well, some of the coverages we do have with the city, but this has been one of the conversations and sort of mute discussions over the past to have these consolidated insurance, because again, certainly each entity and each organization have to have their own insurance. We have approached it in the past with the city, and the city has advised us to work with HSC, which is the loan housing provider that was provide a consortium of all of the housing providers in the province to get this sort of shared expenses, shared coverage overall. So there still is somewhat of a saving in this capacity, but is not with the city overall. And just to answer your question, yeah.
Thank you.
Brenda?
I'm just a little confused, Vince. I have here in front of me the insurance premium is 686,184, but you mentioned 800,000 for insurance costs. What's the difference? Is that the director's portion added on top of this?
No,
600?
so
No.
if you look at, so the amount that you see there, that's 686,000, that's
Yeah.
including taxes.
Right.
And so the information that we're still waiting for is the excess crime and also excess liability insurance
Oh,
that
I
will come
see.
in
I see.
as well. So there'll be additional insurance that comes through, but the overall arching budget is what I mentioned earlier. And of course, there's some in-house potential claims as well in terms of settlements and such. So we always leave an additional buffer in there. So although
Yes,
the
okay.
amount will come out to about 700, we typically budget, enough to be able to offset some of the expected, settlement wise as well.
So insurance on the buildings is paid for by Toronto Community Housing? This insurance that we're paying for is for liability and
Yes.
am I correct in that?
Yeah,
separation?
through the chair and to the to the audit committee. Yes, the property related insurance goes through TSHC.
And we pay a portion of that?
Exactly. We pay a percentage of that through the
okay.
MNP program. So this one here is only
Okay.
strictly on the general liability
Yeah.
and other coverages as well. There's about 5 or 6 different columns in there. That's the
Yeah.
coverages we do contribute to
That
for, yeah.
it seems high. I mean, I'm, I don't speak here of any extensive experience, but if we're not paying for the buildings, we're paying a portion. So in addition to the 686, we're paying our portion to TCHC for capital coverage. And then in addition, we'll have this extra errors and excess liability that it's not yet factored in because we haven't got the quote. So it just seems to me we're kind of edging up to close to $1 million in insurance. Just seems high. I don't know if that's, and I know we're obligated, are we not, to work with HSC for our insurance? We're not allowed to go outside of that, are we?
Tom?
Yes, through the chair to the committee. So yes, we do work through HSC, and as Vince mentioned, so do the other kind of local housing corporations and many
Right.
other of your not for housing providers. And so I do the rate may seem high, but
Yeah.
also it is market from the perspective that, HSC, when they reported back to us, our rate went down perhaps more. It did in instance some other organizations. So it is very kind of organizational specific in terms of their assessment. And I would think that it was good to see it kind of go down this year as a result of the market, but it kind of is what it is from HSC and the work that they do across the housing sector.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Fareed?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I just want to remind us that we did have a very long conversation about this and some time ago,
Yeah,
and the
that's
best
right.
deal in town is from HSC. I mean, HSC is able to leverage their procurement power across the province to be able to bring us the optimum cost here. So I think we need to remind ourselves
that's
about
right.
that. And this is one particular area that we've talked about that has been going up. And actually, frankly, I'm pleased that that costs have gone down a bit. I mean, I was expecting at least cost of living or inflation increase. I'm glad that we have reduced it by 2%. So this is an area of concern, and the ideas and suggestions made to try and bring it down, I think, is well intent. But this is something that we fully canvassed and realize that it is going to be something that we have to address from a cost pressure perspective. But HSC, I think, is the best game in town.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we are looking for a motion to approve this item. Karen? Motion to approve and recommend to the Board of Directors to adopt the following resolution. Approve the 2025-26 insurance renewal with Housing Services Corporation, Inc., HSC, effective November 1st, 2025 to October 31st, 2026, at an annual premium of approximately $676,856, excluding applicable taxes. I need a mover. Moved by Fareed, seconded by Brenda. All in favor? Carried. Next, we'll move to item number 12. That's a motion to move into closed session. May I ask a committee member to move that we transfer into closed session? Moved by Fareed and seconded by Brenda. All in favor? Carried. Yeah.